You can start talking.
Okay. Hello, I'm Robert and welcome at the fourth day of the Conference of the Movements 26. The theme today is creating a critical mass to change the world, and it will be hosted by World Summit, Hack Humanity and LiveHOPE. We have a wide variety for you programmed. The program will take, or the whole conference day will take about 5 hours. In the first hour, we will zoom in and out a bit on our worldly problems, but especially our solutions. Where are we now and where can we go? And in hour 2, 3, 4, and 5, we will have amazing talks, speaks of amazing solutions, solutionaries, thought leaders, change makers from all over the world. We will have pre-recorded videos lined up for them. We will have musical breaks, and we will talk to the initiators and founders also from the COM26. So welcome. I will share my screen in a moment, and then we can kick off the program. So let us start this hour with reviewing a bit what we want to achieve with the Conference of the Movements, the virtual one, 26. Basically, this is what we want to do. We want to reset our systems, our economic systems, reset our social systems, our ecosystems, and our climate systems, and also, and that's also very important, our healthcare systems. Since COVID-19 sort of came about this year, we have seen, of course, tremendous changes worldwide, which affects us all on a personal level, on a career level, on a health level, but also especially on a social level. And I think, and we think it's very important to talk about it with each other, especially in these staggering times. So let's check the first hour, and we already started, so we can go there. So what is it about? You can see here a watercolored world map without borders. And the artist is Mark Ashkenazi, who made this, and he wants to make an impression what a world would look like without any borders. And I think he did a terrific job. This is very important that we have an overview of this, because we have a lot of artificial borders, illusionary borders, not only in our minds, but also worldwide. And we are going to zoom in on that aspect. So lowering the illusionary borders in our minds is something that we want to talk about with you. And what is the COM26 about? We want to unify and mobilize indigenous people, NGOs, and grassroots movements to collaborate. We want to create blueprints and reset our systems. We want to finalize action plans and again reset our systems. And we want to sign the pledge to love Mother Earth and the pledge to support indigenous peoples. We want to unify a lot of grassroots movements, but of course also thousands of indigenous nations. And this for the future of humanity in a post-COVID-19 world. Along with this, putting all of this, we want to create an addendum, and that's called our Mother Earth Constitution and the Free Nations Constitutions. So let's zoom in a bit on what society looks like right now. And to have better understanding of this, we are introducing The Wheel of Co-Creation by Barbara Max Hubbard here, and you can see that society is built on 12 sectors, roughly. And if we zoom in a bit, you can see which sectors we now have in our society. Food, environment, water and wildlife, health and wellness, science, technology and energy, housing, infrastructure and transport, arts, culture and music, resource sharing and economics and trade, indigenous ancient wisdom, justice, sovereignty and governance, spirituality, personal development and religion, relations, peace building and community, learning and education, and media communication. And of course, what's governance systems. And they sort of are outdated. And they are influencing a lot of other sectors. And most of our problems are that we at the moment are addressing not the root causes, but fighting symptoms. And if we change something in one sector, like in peace building or in governance, then this affects the other sectors. But in the current models we have now, there are no feedback loops. We do not have a dynamic system, it's pretty much a static system. And I think that's important to make that statement and acknowledge this fact that we have no feedback loops yet. But there's good news because we have the technology to create these feedback loops. And that's the best part, of course. So how do we do it? How do we change the world? And most people think if you talk about it, that's pretty much impossible, right? How can you change the whole world? Well, we don't need to. The good news is that we need a critical mass to make change happen. And studies have shown that you only need 5 to 10% of people to actually create change. If 5 to 10% of a population or group follows change or produce change, then the rest will automatically follow. And this is important to know. Also, what's very nice to know is that a lot of grassroots movements are working on positive change. And the critical mass that we need is already here. Let's zoom into the 3 pillars of activism, because this is where we are going. I will just close my window a bit. Yeah. So these are the 3 pillars of activism by Joanna Macy. And she came up with this overview to make clear where all the energies are at the moment. You can see here we have 1 pillar. These are the holding actions. Here is where the protest groups are. We've seen a lot of protest groups being active, like Black Lives Matter. Lately, of course, Extinction Rebellion, Fridays for Future from Greta Thunberg, and Standing Rock, and a lot of more other groups like Occupy in the past. And they are doing really fantastic work with protesting. But protesting on its own is not enough. And it's important to acknowledge that the other pillar is also related to a paradigm shift, and that's the shifts in consciousness. Letting go of conditioned beliefs. So in the shifts in consciousness pillar, people are really active here to bring in new ideas, to share stories, to come up with solutions, to be creative. Those are thought leaders and change makers. And they are also very important that we receive these new ideas. And again, I emphasize, and we emphasize, that shifts in consciousness on its own is not enough to create a paradigm shift. The 3rd pillar is new systems, and this is where we are addressing root causes and where we come up with new models. Exciting new technologies like blockchain technology, or perhaps even artificial intelligence. New economic models, new self-governance models. Well, so basically, if you review this whole picture, you can say that, yes, protesting is important, but not enough on its own. And that also goes for the other pillars. The 3 pillars have to work in symbiosis with each other so we can understand that we need each other to make real change happen. And there are so many groups, thousands, hundreds of thousands of groups, organizations, platforms worldwide that are active and that are really working hard towards positive change and a better world. And that is already the critical mass that we need. The coming up phases are how to organize this best. And we all need each other. It's the new grassroots movements that are coming up, but it's also the people who have been working hard in governments and the people who have been studying for years, looking for solutions. We all need each other in this phase of humanity. So, what are we looking for? We are looking for a model, a society that is good for everyone and that provides everyone's basic needs. So that's a model where we have the feedback loops present. If we change something in a certain sector, there will be a run through the other sectors, so we actually can understand what is happening in our society. So let's take you to some videos that we produced this year to sort of make us aware of where we are at the moment. And those are some great videos that are produced with Troy Wiley and Evan Wiley and the production team of Hack Humanity. And they are the Great Pause videos. It's a series of 3, and we will start with the first video. So part 1 that we're going to show to you is about a revolution in lifestyle. In this phase, we are introduced to a totally different way of living in the new normal. In part 1, we lay out this profound time of reflection that we find ourselves in and where we might collectively go next.
In the middle of Madison Avenue. At no other time ever in our lives have we gotten the opportunity to see what would happen if the world simply stopped. Here it is. We're in it. Stores are closed, restaurants are empty, streets and 6-lane highways are barren. A carless Los Angeles has clear blue skies, as pollution has simply stopped. In a quiet New York, you can hear the birds chirp in the middle of Madison Avenue. Coyotes have been spotted on the Golden Gate Bridge. And because it is rarer than rare, it has brought to light all of the beautiful and painful truths of how we live. And that feels really weird. Really weird. Because it has never happened before. If we want to create a better world for our kids, we have to pay attention to how we feel right now. Even with an enormous number of people hidden away, not working, we can still get food on the shelves and keep the lights on. Has anyone else noticed how little is unavailable with so many people in isolation? The old normal was abnormal, and we all experienced the stress of our unsustainable system. Our society was based on artificial values that were traded on the stock market in a system which requires everyone to be slaving away, often doing redundant or unnecessary things to create productivity. Most of our constant spinning on the hamster wheel was pointless. It made fake value for fake money. This is an appropriate time for sacred anger, which can activate us to say, no, no more. The biggest thing the rich are afraid of is you figuring out that we could all be moving a lot more slowly and getting along just fine. An efficient society would burn a lot slower. No hustle. If our entire economy wasn't dependent upon perpetually creating infinite growth, within clearly finite systems, like our biosphere and available resources, perhaps we wouldn't have to choose between growth and a huge number of people dying for that illusion. If we build a society based on what we need, instead of what the endless programming has conditioned us to believe that we want, we wouldn't be ravenously consuming through every resource and drowning in the waste left behind. We could have everything that we need and a whole lot more. Imagine we reduced ourselves to the jobs we need, a few we want, and shared the tiny amount of essential labor remaining, so nobody works that much at all. Instead of 70% of people being canned up inside, they share the work being done by the essential workers now. We have enough people at this point and enough automation, which is growing rapidly, that nobody should need to work 8 or 10 or 14 hours a day. It's absolutely exploitive to be slaving away at these made-up bullshit jobs. We could see a world where a 15 to 20 hour week is standard and everybody has their needs met guaranteed. The illusion has been broken. So now, we call upon you to take the great pause as an opportunity to reflect and reconsider. Find value in yourself outside of your job and take back your time. Be rebelliously unproductive. Don't listen to the advocates of the abnormal normal when they call you back to the endless toil of business as usual. There is no usual anymore. Know that even when they tell you it's necessary, it isn't. We can support each other through mutual aid, and together we can be immovable. Instead of fear and worry, let's see this opportunity as a blessing in disguise, which can and will bring about a whole new level of freedom most of us have never experienced. This moment is a driver of the shift towards a better world for all. This is a revolution in lifestyle. A cultural paradigm shift. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay, that was the Great Pause Part 1. We're now going to take you to the Great Pause Part 2. Why we cannot go back to normal. In the Part 2, we zoom in this epic moment in history and our future to be. In the chapter of this video, the first chapter of this video, we put a critical lens on the current failing system and showing why it doesn't make sense to go back to the degenerative abnormal normal. In the second chapter of this video, we zoom in on the possibilities of how we can solve our problems at the root cause level. In COVID-19 lockdown, a case study proves that we indeed can change society very quickly if we have a compelling reason to do so.
COVID-19 has made a few things very clear. First, that our political and economic systems are not designed in the interest of human life. Second, that our environment is better off in the absence of commerce. And third, that our lifestyles are unhealthy and revolve too much around our jobs. Common among all of these revelations is that the underlying problems existed long before the COVID-19 pandemic. Before that, they manifested as conflicts in the Middle East, the refugee crisis, the Great Recession, the war on drugs, and climate change. What we are not seeing, or not willing to see, is that these catastrophes we find ourselves in are symptoms of our massively problematic socioeconomic system. They are not anomalies. These catastrophes will not stop until we address the underlying cause. In fact, these catastrophes will continue to get worse. Normal was the crisis, and that is why we cannot go back. We live in a world of great abundance, an abundance of land, food, shelter, and technology. Technology which is constantly increasing our capacity to produce said abundance. So why is it that so much of humanity lives in poverty? Why is it that 1 million tons of surplus rice and grain rot in silos? Why is it that hotels have enough vacant rooms to light up hearts, while the homeless are given taped-off slabs of concrete outside? And then, out of the blue, governments approve trillion-dollar aid packages and send checks to their citizens. It's proof that we have always been able to satisfy everyone's needs, but our inherently flawed system prevented it. It is the monetary market exchange system, its underlying philosophy and rules, that are the problem. Such a system survives by maintaining scarcity. Not only a scarcity of products to keep prices high, but scarcity as a lifestyle and as an economic mindset. Governments are pushing to reopen the economy because the economy depends on the working class, something else that's been revealed, but also because governments know that the working class can't afford to stay home. Yes, if we go to work, we might get and spread the virus, but if we don't go to work, we might starve. And we are seeing many people trying to exercise what minimal choice they have in a way that preserves some sense of dignity or honor. They are going back to work to put food on the table, unwilling to see themselves as victims. We want to call these people ignorant or irresponsible, but let's be clear. Fellow members of the working class are not the enemy. It is now apparent that one of the main reasons COVID-19 spreads so rapidly is because governments, such as those in the United States and China, played down and even arguably covered up the severity of the coronavirus because they knew it was politically and economically devastating. It is no wonder that these countries were hit the hardest. Public healthcare and education, institutions that protect and empower the population, have been overlooked for decades. Governments are playing the only game they know how to play, one where resilience and sustainability are sacrificed for efficiency and productivity. We've seen this play out before, but on a much larger scale: climate change. We have known about it for decades, and there have been almost no substantial systemic changes to address it. Conspiracy theories and disinformation peddled by the political and economic elite attempted to delay the inevitable. Both of them working together and working just as they were designed at our expense. We know that a growing economy corresponds directly to worsening environmental conditions. And now we also know that an economy on pause corresponds directly to improved environmental conditions. The normal we would return to was one that was already headed towards catastrophe. We must not return to normal because normal was the crisis. This begs the question: if not back to normal, then where? If not capitalism, then what? To answer that, we can look at the 3 pillars of activism by Joanna Macy, one way that we can identify what the alternatives are and how we get there. We must be willing to build new systems, facilitate shifts in consciousness, and prevent further harm in the meantime. All 3 pillars are critical, and no one form of activism will do the trick. The situation we are in now is essentially a case study, and a shift in consciousness is already occurring. The global test case has proven, for example, that our current systems are fragile, that we are capable of radically changing our lifestyles almost immediately, and that most of our jobs are non-essential. Not only do we spend an excessive amount of our lives working these jobs, but many contribute nothing to society. Many are superfluous, not created out of a need or demand or the well-being of humanity for that matter, but out of the desire to extract value. value most of which goes to the capitalist, not the worker. Here we are labeling jobs otherwise underpaid and undervalued by society as essential. This is why we need a massive values reassessment. COVID-19 is allowing us to realize that the true value is first and foremost in meeting our basic needs. It is in safety and belonging, connectedness with nature, ourselves, and our community. Having the time and energy to address these global challenges, however, is especially difficult for those they affect the most, those who don't have the luxury of seeing beyond their most essential daily needs. This is why holding actions are so important, as they address those immediate needs and prevent worsening conditions for the most vulnerable populations. Climate strikes, rent strikes, supporting food banks, providing housing, universal healthcare, and education would all be considered holding actions. A universal basic income, something we've seen implemented during the lockdown in countries around the world, is also a holding action. It holds governments responsible for helping to meet the basic needs of citizens. It could be a crucial step in the process of building a new, better alternative, because by meeting everybody's basic needs, we can break free from that oppressive, artificially generated cycle of scarcity and begin to think about the future. Holding actions make the revolutionary transformation accessible. However, they would be endless and futile if there weren't also people working to address the root causes of such inequities. The third pillar is to build new political and economic systems. Part of shifting the consciousness is to break from this rigid dichotomy of capitalism versus communism, democracy or autocracy. There is, in reality, a whole world of possibilities, with historical precedent and evidence to back them up. Many activist groups are now organizing to align and synchronize their efforts because they too see and understand there are so many great regenerative ideas that make sense. We must be willing to embrace them, knowing that the status quo just won't do. A universal basic income paired with a 20-hour work week can help us transition to something even more prosperous, like an open access economy, where we shift from ownership to stewardship, having access to basic goods and services whenever and however we need them, without a price tag, finally benefiting collectively from the abundance our world provides. As COVID-19 has proven, we are able to maintain essential infrastructure, even with far less people going to work. We were all forced into the great pause, but now, as they beckon us, we have a choice, knowing more clearly than before just how empowered we are. Could dismantle our degenerative systems simply by us choosing not to go back. No problem can be solved with the same consciousness that created it. We are in a raging river, scared and holding on to a branch, battered by the rapids. Only when we recognize that our system of government and our economic systems are not only outdated, but flawed in their design, can we let go, scary as it may be. But we can take solace in the fact that we have somewhere to go, things to do, and that is designing a new system that makes the existing one obsolete. We are already in the chrysalis, so to speak. That much is true. Now, whether we emerge a beautiful new creation is up to us. Stay tuned.
So that was part 2 of the Great Pause. And we have another part to show you, which is part 3, which is about Black Lives Matter and the 3 pillars of activism. In this video, we are zooming in on how Black Lives Matter is a case study that shows that we can affect transformative change in all 3 pillars of activism. We are highlighting massive shifts in consciousness, powerful holding actions and root systems change happening now that we can build on with other movements to create a new regenerative world that works for everyone. We introduce revolutionary transition tactics and a superordinate goal to provide for the basic needs of every man, woman, and child on Earth. This is the new normal, humanity's phase shift.
As COVID-19 cases continue to surge and as protests have erupted around the world in solidarity against racism and inequality, the Black Lives Matter movement is a perfect case study of how we can work to create massive social change across the three pillars of activism. My name is Evan Wiley, and this is the third installment of the Great Pause video series by Hack Humanity. Joanna Macy created the three pillars as a visionary model for change that integrates holding actions, shifts in consciousness, and root systems change. Black Lives Matter began as a movement within the holding actions pillar, which is about demanding an immediate stop to police brutality and murder against Black people with impunity, not only in the United States, but around the world. But unlike some other protest movements in the past, BLM is going further by successfully crossing over into the other two pillars. Within the shifts in consciousness pillar, the defund the police demands are bringing about massive inquiry into the role of police as a centralized institution in societies all over the world. People everywhere are learning that police forces are a relatively modern invention, and one that was always more about controlling oppressed people, crowds, and slaves than it was about protecting regular citizens. People are starting to see that we have offloaded our collective responsibilities for social care to those who create and enforce laws, people who are not trained in the areas of human wellness. This is not necessarily the fault of police or politicians, since it is merely the nature of self-interested systems to become self-perpetuating institutions, if allowed the space, power, and money to do so. It is the proverbial saying, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then all problems look like a nail. They are literally fighting symptoms over and over again with hammers and brute force. The idea of defunding the police is about the act of replacing hammers with other tools in our toolbox that more effectively and humanely address the root causes. Within the systems change pillar, when the root economic causes of inequality and racism are addressed and we provide for people's basic needs like food, water, shelter, health, and safety, there will be fewer instances of violence in the first place. On top of that, if we shift funding away from militarizing the police, from the over-budgeted military forces, and from the corrupt prison system, all of which are a part of what you might call the military-industrial prison complex, then meeting people's basic needs will be far more affordable and effective. This is what Black Lives Matter has proposed, that racism is systemic, and the solution must also be systemic, namely in the form of robust social programs and preventative measures that address the root causes. It became a systems change when it was no longer about reforming law enforcement and instead about removing law enforcement from the equation altogether. If more nonprofits and activist groups around the world addressed the systems instead of the symptoms, then what they would find is that the underlying causes are one and the same. This is why Hack Humanity is working to unify these global efforts under what it is calling the superordinate goal, to meet the basic material and safety needs of everyone, regardless of their color, class, or creed. Transition tactics like a universal basic income, which relieve the oppressive economic status quo, along with entirely new alternative systems, such as an open access economy, can help us realize this superordinate goal. This is the massive systems change that Black Lives Matter is literally helping to bring about now, as city governments everywhere are deliberating the possibility of defunding the police or abolishing the police altogether in favor of building communities that prioritize the well-being and safety of all.
My name is Robert Schram.
My name is Troy Wiley, and we are with Hack Humanity, an action network by World Summit and Envienta. The Black Lives Matter movement is indeed changing the world. They are effectively bringing about radical, overdue changes in all three pillars. Now we need to just emulate that with all the other social and environmental justice movements around the world.
Imagine all of these groups becoming peaceful warriors or protectors to declare and enact coordinated action. This is humanity's moonshot, the phase shift to an incredible new era for humanity.
It is time now for us all to move from the great pause to the great action, to bring about humanity's phase shift to a much better world that works for everyone. It is time to hack humanity.
We cannot ignore the suffering that people all over the world are going through, not only because of COVID-19, but because of our outdated operating system. To secure the well-being and safety of everyone, we are doing things now. It is time more than ever to make a difference and be the difference. To learn more about the three pillars, the superordinate goal, as well as Hack Humanity's transition tactics and alternative systems, visit our website and Facebook group. Get involved, take action, and hack humanity.
Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff, right? And maybe we should let it sink in a bit, because actually we are the critical mass. So what are we waiting for? But of course, there are so many aspects that come into place. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed these videos to sort of set the tone of the rest of the conference day. And we will go to another section after these videos, because there are a lot of things happening as announced in the beginning at the moment. And one of them is the shift that is happening towards regenerative cultures. And I think that as we, all these change makers and activists and solutionaries from all these sectors, they are now clustering and organizing in a rapid pace. You can see here already a little bit a number of clustering groups worldwide that are coming together and that understand or have the understanding that we can make this shift happen right now. So change makers all over the world are active. There are numerous platforms to make these connections work. One of them is here on the screen, and that's a platform that comes from Bruce Schumann's mindset, and he is creating templates for us to organize. And that's only one of them, one of many, really. So we wanted to share it with you, and also events like the Charter of Co-Creation, and you can read all the groups here. We have a New Economy Coalition, we have a Communitas Zone, Ecosystems, Humanity Rising. There are so many out there at the moment. And you can see these clustering groups as the imaginary discs of the chrysalis, where the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. So this is all taking place now. Exciting times. They are challenging times for sure for a lot of people, but also it gives a lot of room for positive change. And let's focus on that. Okay, so with these clustering groups, we worked on transition tactics, and those are tactics that sort of give an idea about solutions that we can already use. We have a slide deck for you, so we can share a link with you later, but we can show a little bit maybe of these transition tactics. Let's see what happens when we load it. So we talk a little bit about the superordinate goal, and we just reviewed this one. Well, only a crisis like this one, actual or perceived, produces real change. When that crisis occurs, the actions that are taken depend on the ideas that are lying around. And a lot of ideas are lying around, believe me. That's really fantastic. Here is an overview of a top 10 transition tactics, things that we could possibly do today. We have over 60, but we just picked the 10 most important ones. Meet everyone's basic needs with a UBI, for instance. It might not be an end solution, but it will be a stepping stone towards a solution. A 21-hour working week, a lot of jobs will disappear, and people have a lot of gifts. They can use their free time to put into use whatever their gifts are and to support society. We can create a mutual aid network to provide basic needs. Organize all the aid networks worldwide that are now fighting symptoms. But let's address root causes and let's organize on that part. Create safe communities free of racism and discrimination and needs met, so we have low crime. If people are provided with basic needs, they don't have to commit crimes to get the things they need or want. We can talk about a global citizenship and the world passport for everyone. Why do we need all these different passports and nationalities? Of course, we can be proud of our language, our cultural heritage, but basically, we're all human beings. We all want the same thing. We want to be happy. We want to love. We want to share. And we want to do things together and have fun. Of course, and a lot more stuff. Let's eliminate hunger. Nobody needs to be hungry on this planet. We all know it. But we keep on reinventing the wheel over and over again. And people are still starving on this planet. We can eliminate that. And water is life. We can create water for everyone on this planet. We have the technology. We can create water out of thin air. We can do it with desalination. But basically, we can bring water to every place on Earth if we want to. We can secure universal health care for every person on this planet. It should be free for everyone and should be a birthright. And we can end homelessness. There are so many empty buildings and houses, millions. And there are millions of people that are either refugees or homeless, living on the streets. If we organize and coordinate this, everybody can have a place to live for its own. So those are most of the most important transition tactics we want to share with you. We can also end the refugee crisis. It's insane. People are drowning now in little boats because they want to cross over from Libya to Greece or other countries or even to the United Kingdom. This is not really what we are about, are we, as humanity? We can do so much better. Let's end this refugee crisis. And also, of course, we have our outdated governance, political and economic systems. And let's focus on the solutions. Self-governance, we can use technology for that. And also, we can demand a political moratorium. So I just wanted to take you through some of the transition tactics. There are over 50 more, so we can share that with you later. So if we understand as a whole movement of movements that we are the critical mass, we can do so much. And there is actually already a resource generation. That's a younger generation of wealthy people that are now organizing and coming together to make change happen, to fund organizations that address root causes instead of only fighting symptoms. And the superordinate goal. I don't feel we can go through the whole slide deck here, but this is about providing the basic needs for every person on Earth, and not only person. It can also be animals. So this is all connected, We like when we went to the moon, that was a superordinate goal, and everybody put their energy into it in the United States, but also in Europe. And let's put our energy, positive energy, in a new superordinate goal. And let's find a way to create this goal that we can provide basic needs for everyone. And again, the transition tactics, and that's what we already discussed. So the World Summit and Hack Humanity are co-creating with LiveHOPE, but also with Future Now Radio. And we have a podcast stations where we interview thought leaders, change makers, and people who work on positive projects. So you can find out later more. Basically, we now have over a dozen interviews up. Recently, we interviewed Charles Eisenstein. It was a real pleasure. And we want to invite a lot of more people in. Not only thought leaders, but also people who want to exchange thoughts and ideas with us. So that would be a great step. And last but not least, we will take a short break until the next hour. We're running a little bit ahead of program, but that's fine. We'll take a little break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Welcome back to second hour of the Conference of the Movements. Day 4, how to create critical mass with the grassroots movements. We want to share a lot of speaks with you, and we're happy that you're here watching us. Let's just continue with the rest of the program. So again, we want to share with you the goal of the COP26. Unify and mobilize indigenous NGOs and grassroots movements to collaborate, create blueprints to reset our systems, and finalize action plans to do the same. Sign the pledge to love Mother Earth and the pledge to support indigenous peoples and to unify thousands of indigenous nations. Thank you for being here. We talked about the 3 pillars of activism before, and we want to share a lot of solutions with you from people and activists and thought leaders that are active in the 3 pillars: the holding actions, the shifts in consciousness, and new systems. The first speak that we want to share before we continue, because we already shared with you how the 3 pillars of activism are connected to our current society model and our new model. So this is what we are all working on, the solution-based network. And let's see what's happening out there in the world together, because we want to create all together, we want to create a dynamic model. Instead of the static model we have now, we want to create a model with feedback loops. If one thing is changed in one sector, it affects another sector and another. And we have the knowledge and wisdom and technology to do that, exactly that. So, and this sort of gives a picture of the process that is happening now, from the caterpillar towards the butterfly. We talked about it before. We're in a crisis state at the moment. So it seems like everything is sort of getting a kind of messy and uncertain in society, and things are falling apart. But it actually means that the current systems are sort of resolving and new systems are forming for the butterfly, the imaginary disc to take shape and to grow, so we can enjoy this whole new world altogether. And we can see the process, how it takes place here. I love to visualize things, and it's so simple. One picture tells so much more than 1,000 words. We will go to the second hour now, and that's right on the dot. I'm going to share with you something about Joe Brewer. Joe is a change strategist for humanity. Joe has a unique background in physics, math, philosophy, atmospheric science, complexity research, and cognitive linguistics. His specialties are research design, writing, speaking, idea integration, communication of complex ideas, and inspiring others. This video is about what futures are you living into being. In this video, Joe asks, and it's taken from an interview with culture designer evolutionary Joe Brewer. It's a conversation about the context of the time we are living in, combined with aerial cinematography from various locations in the USA and Iceland. Forgive me for the mispronunciation, but that's all part of it. So let's see what Joe has to share with us.
I think we've been given a false choice. I think we've been given a false choice between the story of hope and the story of doom. And the false choice is that they're both true. You know, I study language and I study culture, and I try to help people create strategies around the stories that they tell. And one of the things I learned in the early days of trying to communicate about climate change was that reframing climate change required us to not talk about climate change. And instead, we need to talk about what it means to be human. And we need to talk about how economies work. The other thing that I learned was that global warming as an idea is inherently traumatizing. It hurts us. So what we have to do is prepare ourselves for some trauma. Because global warming, while traumatizing, is also real. And so this false choice between the story of hope or the story of doom misses that the combining of the two, of a story of authentic, painful struggle worth having, is the story that ignites hope. And it ignites hope because we embrace the struggle and the pain, and we don't run from it. And the realization that this is the story that we've been waiting for, and it is a story that is not yet written, and so we can't tell it, is something that a lot of people also miss. You know, people ask me, what story would you tell for the new paradigm? And I tell them, you can't tell a story that hasn't happened yet. The way that we frame this story is by living it. We don't create the story by telling it. We create it by living it. So to live a story that combines hope and doom is to walk courageously into the pain of loss, knowing that there is something worth doing that for. And the best way to do that is to have something in the future that you love that you cannot let be lost. So for all the parents out there, it's the future for your grandchildren not yet born or your great-grandchildren. For the nature lovers, it's the landscapes that have been depleted that will regenerate after you are dead, after you're long gone. So to step into that pain and that loss, and to find the hope that you will never touch, it's a hope you're giving to someone else, is the call to service. And that is the story we experience into being. And as we do it, we'll discover that not knowing was an essential piece of living it.
Thanks, Joe Brewer. That was a great introduction from him. Okay, let's continue because we have so many great videos to share with you. And this is the next one. It's about the rules. The rules is a global movement to bring power back to the people and change the rules that create inequality and poverty around the world. In the face of an economic, social, and ecological breakdown, the inevitable transition is coming. And what is required from us is beyond, and to think beyond the realms of activism.
Characterizes each of these movements is they are seeking to give birth to a new world.
Movements have now entered a kind of global consciousness.
The use of technology created new abilities to create solidarity movements.
Tactics and strategies that people are learning from each other around the world.
Relook at what we promised. We said education will make the world a better place. Educated people are also responsible for where we are today. We said science will make the world a better place. Any scientific mind will say what is happening is wrong. And we said economy will percolate down to poor people. It didn't happen. So many of our promises have gone wrong.
And I think out of that is part of how you got to the Occupy movement. A lot of folks started saying, the dialogue right now is all about the budget deficit, but what's really happening in our lives is debt.
Many movements today is the hope today. Thousands and millions of people are now mobilized and ready to do something now.
Because when you have people who are hungry, who are homeless, they will rise up. And I do see, as indigenous movements are spreading from the tip of Argentina to the tip of Canada, to the tip of Africa, to the tip of Siberia, I see this happening.
And the Aini come back, and the Sewa come back, and the Aya come back, and the knowledge come back, and the dancers come back, and the sweet grass come back, and the rivers come back, and the laughter come back, and the medicines come back, and the stories come back, and the power come back, and the oceans come back, and the prayers come back, and the coral come back, and the soil come back, and the tenderness come back. We still have time, we still have some time. Yes, we still have time, we still have some time.
Yeah. Great video. I enjoyed it. Okay. We will move on to the next one. Just replace some things here. The next video clip is from Brennan Bass. She's an author, seminar leader, and also she is from the Journey seminars. The video that we are showing now is, though by now we know that the letter that Brennan Bass is talking about in the quoted in the video, it's not written by Einstein, because that's what it says first, but it has been widely attributed to him and his message, profound as ever. So thank you for whoever wrote this letter that we will listen to now from Brennan.
It is a It is a force that includes and governs all others, and is even behind any phenomenon operating in the universe, and has not yet been identified by us. This universal force is love. When scientists looked for a unified theory of the universe, they forgot the most powerful unseen force. Love is light that enlightens those who give and receive it. Love is gravity because it makes some people feel attracted to others. Love is power because it multiplies the best we have and allows humanity not to be extinguished in their blind selfishness. Love unfolds and reveals. For love we live and die. Love is God, and God is love. This force explains everything and gives meaning to life. This is the variable that we have ignored for too long. Maybe because we are afraid of love, because it's the only energy in the universe that man has not learned to drive at will. To give visibility to love, I made a simple substitution in my most famous equation. If instead of E=mc², we accept that the energy to heal the world can be obtained through love, multiplied by the speed of light squared, we arrive at the conclusion that love is the most powerful force there is, because it has no limits. After the failure of humanity in the use and control of the other forces of the universe that have turned against us, it is urgent that we nourish ourselves with another kind of energy. If we want our species to survive, if we are to find meaning in life, if we want to save the world and every sentient being that inhabits it, love is the one and only answer.
That's a great message from Brendan Bass. And I'm happy that she put this one together. It's really amazing. And we have more amazing clips for you ready. This is a clip from Heidi Little. Heidi is from the International Children's Month. She is active at We the World, and she's also a concert performer. She's an award-winning songwriter and singer, and she is a social-emotional learning educator and activities designer, humanitarian, a philanthropist, and environmentalist. Heidi has dedicated her life to the empowerment of the world's children and to designing and developing new communities and global education programming that meets the needs of the whole person. I hope you enjoy this video. You have the power to make change happen.
Hi everyone, my name is Heidi Little, and you may have seen me as your MC before on LiveHOPE. Thank you so much for your donations and for sharing out the broadcast to everyone. It has been an exciting thing that's happening here. We are also having conversations on moving things forward at this time. While we're in lockdown, we have an opportunity to create conversations and to create relationships that we've never had before. That means you have the power to make change happen. And right now we're at home and we have the time to make the connections we've never had time to make before, and to come up with things we've never had the time to do. You know, in all the past things that have happened in history, pandemics and whatnot, our greatest minds came up with our greatest contributions. And I want you to feel empowered right now. I hope you feel empowered right now, because we can change the way this thing looks for our society. We know there's a lot of things that are not working for people. We have an opportunity now to change those, the way things are. So showing up to the school with something new, if you have a contribution, if you are already an educator and you've designed something and you know it would be really great to try it out, now's the time to reach out to the school counselor. Now's the time to reach out to your board head. Now's the time to reach out to the different people and make some new relationships and figure out what's everybody else thinking too, because I guarantee everyone's reassessing right now. Everyone's doing a deep dive to figure out, what do we do next? What do we do from here? So InternationalChildren'sMonth.com has 8 years of free thematic activity platforms down the left-hand side. Take a look. Get inspired. Try some stuff. We've worked with some major people across the planet and some moms and some public school teachers and, you know, just all across the board, different techniques. The one thing that I know for sure is this. If we love ourselves, we're going to make different choices. And I think that it is time for us to really love ourselves and to teach our children, share with our children, how did we do that? You know, just know that your light, your heart light makes light of all things. And the more creative, empowered, inspired and loving you feel yourself, it's going to emanate around you to everyone you know and everyone you love, and it's going to make the world a better place. So thank you for hearing me. That I hope that, you know, in some way, somehow, you just feel better by listening to this. And if it's at all possible for you to go out and take action, there's never been a better time than now. So sending you much love. Thank you so much. And I'll be seeing you again really soon, because we're on this LiveHOPE Telefest conference together. And we are one human family. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for your donations. And thank you for continuing to move things forward in the name of love, care, and respect.
Thanks, Heidi. That was a beautiful message. And since Heidi is into music, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind if we could take a musical break with a song from Julian Lennon. And that's a song that Julian made with Steven Tyler, and it's called Someday. It's a great song. One of the reviews says, "Well done, Julian. So many of us feel this way, but don't have a voice to say this to the world. Thanks for using your talents in such a positive way. The message of love and peace in the world is absolutely necessary to move humanity forward. Thanks for doing your part with this song and video."
How does it feel to be one of the beautiful people? Say a prayer and close your eyes. Someday, someday, hope and pray we get it right. One day, everyone's the same. We get lost and we get broken. Isn't it a shame? Words unspoken. We're all in it together. Someday, someday, one love, now and forever. Someday, someday, wish our dreams could be as one. Someday, someday, try to fix what we've undone. One day, nothing stays the same. When you're lost and when you're broken, all that's left remains words unspoken. We're all in it together. Someday, someday.
Wow, what an incredible song that is. Julian Lennon and Steve Tyler. Someday. Okay, I don't think we will be taking a break. We will move right along with the next part of our program. This is a clip from John Dennis Liu. John is an ecosystem ambassador, a director working as a news producer and a cameraman for CBS News. And he concentrated on ecological research and filmmaking. John began to see the camera as a research instrument, and he's building a visual ecological database to educate about ecological principles worldwide. John's specialties are visually stimulating lectures on ecology, climate change, integrated poverty eradication, and large-scale ecosystems rehabilitation. And this talks about real wealth. What is it?
I've begun to see this differently. When it comes to survival and sustainability, there's only one story for the human species, and we're all in this together. All our problems are interrelated. Far from being mysterious, they're actually the logical outcomes of the type of economic system that we've created. And this also seems to point toward the solution. We know when we see a forest, a lake, the ocean, a natural river system, the atmosphere, that it's more valuable than computers, cars, or airplanes, which are valuable for a short time, but then become trash and pollution. Natural systems are renewable. They've evolved over billions of years, and they are infinitely valuable. Now, the global economy values production and consumption. And although few understand it, speculation. This has suggested the finite derivatives shaped from the Earth's natural systems are somehow more valuable than the infinitely renewable systems themselves. This is simply wrong. We need to admit that we made this mistake. If we were to truly value natural systems, then nature would become the basis of our money and our economy. To protect nature, then, would not be a luxury, but a necessity. This brings us much closer to the truth, because we must have water, air, and fertile soils. But we just want computers, cars, and airplanes. We can change. It will not be easy, but we can and we must do it. If we are thoughtful and do the right thing, then we can consciously transition to a new paradigm in which human actions and the natural environment are in harmony.
Yeah, great talk from John Dennis Liu. Thanks for that. We're off to the next clip. That's a clip from Jacques Fresco. Jacques was an author, a behavioral scientist, an artist, an inventor, a futurist, and an industrial designer. Realizing the impact civilization has made on nature, Jacques Fresco offers a new way out looking at the world and social consequences to encourage a happier and healthier environment. This video is about every action and decision we take or we don't take. There are ripples into the future. For the first time, we have the capability, the technology, and the knowledge to direct these ripples.
It seems that we need a different approach. How does the Venus Project approach this?
If you really wish to bring an end to war, poverty, hunger, and most crimes, What we have to do eventually through education is declare all of the Earth's resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. What we would like to do is update our system so that it fits the new technology.
Would the election of people with higher moral content solve the problem?
No, because even if you succeeded in electing people of unquestionable moral character, if we ran out of resources, there'd be lying, cheating, stealing, and artificialities. It isn't moral character that we need. It's the intelligent management of the Earth's resources. The real future depends on our ability to solve scarcity problems, overcome those problems through our own creative ingenuity.
What is a resource-based economy? And how does that compare with a monetary-based economy?
In a monetary-based economy, we use money as a medium of exchange. Now, money doesn't represent our capacity to produce. It just represents a method designed hundreds of years ago and established within the system. In the monetary-based system, it's wealth, property, and power. And that's the main directive. Now, today we say, how much will it cost? That is really the question. The real question is, do we have the resources to build that kind of project? Yes, we do. Do we have the money? No, we don't. But we have more than enough resources available to build anything we want to build. If you have difficulty with that, consider this. Suppose all the money in the world disappeared tomorrow morning. As long as there are farms, water, building material, we can build anything we want to build. It isn't money that people need. It's access to resources. In other words, it was necessary 100 years ago to use a monetary system for the distribution of products. Today, we have the technology to make those things available. What are we chiseling off each other for? A resource-based economic system does not use money, barter, trade, or any of the older systems that were prevalent. It's based on designing a culture that fits in with the carrying capacity of the world's resources. Anything else other than that will not work.
Great message from Jacques Fresco. Talking about the Venus Project and a resource-based economy. Next coming up is Alan Watts. Alan Watts was a philosopher, writer, speaker, an Anglican priest and professor. And he was interpreting and popularizing Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism for a Western audience. Watts gained following and while working as a volunteer programmer at a radio station in Berkeley, and he wrote more than 25 books and articles on religion and philosophy, introducing the emerging hippie counterculture and the Way of Zen, one of the first best-selling books on Buddhism.
What do you desire? What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question. What do I desire?
Alan Watts. Great message. What makes you each? Next clip coming up is from Floris Coate. Floris is a future weaver, a game designer, and he activates groups and hosts processes to help people experience content. Floris works around and across Europe as a master trainer, an activator, a think tank, and a game event designer, host, and speaker. He mostly focuses on boosting creativity, shifting perceptions and paradigms. And he does this in organizations, gaming, and politics and more. This video is about a gentle revolution. It's asking big questions about how we live on our blue marble and what might we change in diverse fields like economy and game design and business and media and education and more. What can help trigger the start of a gentle revolution for and with all of us? And how can you help? Floris Coate.
Hi, I think everyone knows by now that the way we've organized the world in structures, rules, and our thinking about it is not sustainable. So how can we create a world where we start thinking into the future and acting as if we would love to have one? Another thing is about our current economical model is very strange. If the economy collapses, people go hungry. While there's enough food, enough materials, enough distribution possibilities, enough people willing to work, but the money is gone, therefore we can't do it. Can we change that? So in order to change that, we have to look on a wider perspective and in many fields. If you work in a job and you can't leave because you're afraid, then you're a prisoner of a system that's destructive. Governments start thinking about basic income so that people can walk away out of destructive jobs that either destroy people, destroy the planet, or is totally feel senseless. I mean, why sell more plastics? Now that we're all inside with Corona, I notice I don't miss shopping at all. And I think many people don't want to go back to shopping to fill empty lives. Economy. How come ravaging the planet is being rewarded? Cutting down forest is rewarded. Replanting is a cost. All the citizens pay for the cleanup of the pollution that those corporations make. How is it that if I want to replant a forest, I need to gather and work hard to get funds for something that's extremely valuable but doesn't pay? And why do get bankers who get people out of their houses and then the banks own them get huge bonuses? I would say something is wrong there, so we need a new economical system. And gaming world. If people are inventing new economical models and systems, why aren't you making, when you create alien worlds and alien societies, also alien economies, alien economical models where the rules of change are very different? What about a gift economy where if you're not sharing enough, you're a baddie And if you are hoarding, you're a baddie. And the more you give away, the more people start to help you and support you. Wouldn't that be interesting? Try it out in a massive multi-online gamer platform.
Well, very interesting message from Floris Kut. Very original guy. I met him in the Netherlands, and great guy, doing great stuff. Thanks, Floris, for being a part of the transition. It's really amazing. Also amazing is Evangelia Gogu. She's a sustainability goals promoter, and she's also promoted for the UN Agenda 2030 and an agent for the United Nations. We want to share a little bit more about her because, she's focusing on exploring for the solutions and proposing the necessary changes every one of us and all together can do to achieve a sustainable and brighter future, inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN via Agenda 2030. She's part of the Force for a Sustainable Future, creating from the heart space.
Good morning, my beautiful people. Today, I was ready to slaughter this pineapple. It looks very healthy. And I was thinking exactly that, about our health. Why, now that this virus is around, we are so afraid and so concerned about our health, and we don't do the same thing in the rest of our life. And we continue intoxicating ourselves with alcohol, smoking. Many people take drugs. We don't exercise. We eat whatever we find around. And we eat junk food. And we don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care about our psychology. We don't take care about our mental health. We think that we are here forever, and we don't live our life like healthy, strong people that we are meant to be by the nature. Our natural condition is not to be sick, tired, and in bad psychology. So, yes, I think that we must start thinking after all this goes. We maybe have to think a little bit different about our lifestyle and what we really want to do in life and how we want our condition to be like, and do the necessary changes, because it has many things we have to change to achieve this new healthy, strong self. So that was today's message, and of course I want to send a lot of love and many, many kisses.
Beautiful message from Evangelia. Thank you for that. So how to stay strong and healthy? Well, after these great video clips and speaks, we are ready for a musical break. And so let's enjoy this song. We can find unity in our diversity. So Illumi Native and Max 7 created this release. We Are One. That's a collaboration to show the richness and diversity and beauty of Indian country. Today on Indigenous Peoples Day, well, that was when we released this video, I think. And every day we are here to say that we are still here. We as humans all live in this world where we have to work and live together. And our goal is for Native people to be normalized in a current today and show accurate and positive representations of our people.
We stand all together, one voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest to the block, to the Perry, to the rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power feel the power of the people when we stand as one.
I got you stuck off the realness. We be indigenous, you heard of us. Max Heaven, the murderer, spreading the love with the water and earth. And the stand against hate, gotta know what the purpose is. We rise, the climate is changing, the signs of the times. It's time to start praying, pray. For the world and community, prayers are more powerful when we're in unity.
What I know, we are one. What I know, no, we are one. Woke up today, hungry for a change, new path to take. Can't stay the same, it's been too long. Pointing out who's right or wrong, can you hear me out? All we need is a little bit of love. Take time to heal and it starts with us. Hand in hand, I put my trust. In one world, reunite, it's a must. Hold on to hope, we can overload. We can break the code with a single note. Sing out for the world to hear that our time is now, no more for tears. I looked into my son's eyes, a new day in a new light. Lift the veil and dwell so peaceful. Come together, one world, one people. What I know, we are one. What I know, no, we are one. It's who you are, it's who I am. We all bleed the same blood, yeah. Hey. We all bleed the same blood, yeah.
We got beautiful differences, let me give you a peek. Over 500 tribes, but we all unique. And if we could not compete to eat, nothing could beat us. Jealousy is more dangerous than diabetes. See this unity? Imagine what it looked like. You would think we would do whatever it took, right? I would do anything for this good life. We could do anything if we unite. Come on.
Young native, you are my savior. Say your prayer for our inspiration. From the block to your reservation. Any color, all my relations. From the basement, worldwide invasion. Every day we're painting our faces. Fighting back but learning our language. Dancing our dances, saying our prayers.
What I know.
One choice, one earth, one love, one birth. We like to live. We like to live, yeah.
One people, we stand all together. One voice saying yes we can. Each one, reach one till we pull ourselves up, cause we all one fam. From the rest to the block, to the Perry, to the rock, we connect that love. Cause the people with power feel the power of the people when we stand as one. We are
Wow. That's an energetic video. Makes you want to jump and dance, right? So I really love this part. I think it was a group. It's a collective of 7 MCs and songwriters from different tribes, and they came together for hope and optimism. The members of Mag 7 are Dreezus, he's Plains Cree tribe, Superman, he's from Crow tribe, PJ Vegas, Shoshone and Yaqui tribes, and Kahara Hodges from the Navajo tribe, and Dog Native, the Seminole tribe, and Spencer Betjes from the Seminole tribe. I hope I pronounced it right. And MC1 from the Osage Potawatomi tribes. Well, I think I got it. Okay, I think we were going to take a little break here, but we will just have to restart the share screen, but that's fine. A little technical glitch. So we'll start it up again. Let's see how we... Yep, here we are. Great. Been there, done that. Okay, well, we will continue with our next session. This is a video clip from John Dennis Liu, another one. We already introduced him. He's an ecosystem ambassador, and he's also a director at Common Land. This talk is about infinite growth, the true basis of wealth. Well, let's see what John has to bring to us.
I think that you don't have to buy human rights. You're born with equal rights, and it's not just humans that have rights, it's all living things. And so to look at the historical inequities or the structures which have been built up over long periods of time and say that they're immutable is not true. What is true is that there are natural laws, and these natural laws create the atmosphere, the hydrological cycle, the soil fertility, and the biodiversity. And this is the basis of life. And ultimately, when you understand this, you realize this is the basis of wealth. So right now, the economic systems that we have are saying that materialism, the accumulation of derivatives, things which are dug up and manufactured and bought and sold, are the basis of wealth. Well, they're not. That's just an accumulation of materialism. It's actually causing enormous poverty for billions of people and degraded landscapes all over the world. When you understand that the basis of wealth is the atmosphere, the hydrological cycle, the soil fertility, and the biodiversity, and that is the basis of economy. When you understand that, you can't degrade, you can't pollute. To do so would be to have less. So if we want to have more, we want to have growth, we can no longer have growth in an economy which is based on materialism, because it's impossible to infinitely grow based on finite resources. So this is just a logical construct. It's not an opinion. It's that it's impossible to infinitely grow based on finite resources. But where we can have growth is in function. And if function is the basis of wealth, then the future of humanity will be in tremendous shape, because all human effort will go to protect and to conserve and to restore all degraded landscapes on the planet. That's the way to ensure food security, biodiversity, and climate regulation.
Yeah, great talk from John Dennis Liu. So we already shared in the first hour the video clip, The Great Pause, so we'll get back to that later a little bit more and share with you what the World Summit is about and Hack Humanity. We're now shifting towards a clip from John Elkington. John is a worldwide authority on corporate responsibility and sustainable capitalism. He is a best-selling author and serial entrepreneur, and currently he's a founding partner and chief pollinator of Volans. His latest book is Green Swans, and the website tracks of this book is he has a role as ambassador for the future. And in this interview, John talks about basically 5 questions. The first one is, 25 years ago, he devised the term triple bottom line. Everybody knows it. Has it stood the test of time? Why is the B Corp movement so important during these turbulent times? What does the future hold for the business in the 2020s? And what would John's message be to the B Corp community? And what are the challenges? And how should business transition into a new system? Enjoy.
In many ways, I'm very proud of the triple bottom line. It's exactly 25 years ago since I introduced the idea, and then 24 years since the People, Planet, Profit formulation. And whether it's Global Reporting Initiative with all of thousands of reporting companies against the triple bottom line, or the B Corporation movement, it's done good work. But my reason for withdrawing it last June was simply to say, if we simply think by balancing off these different dimensions of value creation or destruction, we're going to change the world. We really aren't. It's a useful device, it's a useful tool, but we've really got to think about the systemic dynamics here. And we're going to reintroduce it, but with a slightly different framing, which I think will make sure that anyone who uses it thinks about the responsibility agenda, but also about how do you regenerate communities, our economies, and critically, our environment, the biosphere. I think what's starting to happen is the mainstream world of companies and investors and governments too are waking up to the fact that we do indeed have a systemic crisis. And they're beginning to look around, rather belatedly, but they're looking around for how do we deal with this? Who's already working on some of that stuff? And I think the B Lab ecosystem, the world of B corporations, are a wonderful place to start that investigation of what do we now need to do collectively to solve these, almost existential challenges.
Okay, that was a short clip from John Elkington. Thank you for that. We have a couple of minutes before we engage with our first live speaker, David Kahn, who will join us here during the broadcast. First, we are going to watch a small clip from Anneloes Smitsman. She's a founder and CEO of Earthwise Center and evolutionary system scientist and an author. And her message is about, are we listening now?
My name is Anneloes Smitsman, and I am the founder and CEO of Earthwise Center. The coronavirus crisis has provided us with an unprecedented time and opportunity to reflect on what is truly important, to reflect on what it is that we let slip away, to reflect on what it is that we sacrificed for a societal model of progress that is clearly not sustainable, not even desirable. So my question is, are we listening deeply to where this crisis could truly be taking us as an opportunity to innovate the very foundations of our societal development, to reprioritize what we make important, to restore what is truly of value, and to make a renewed commitment to our planetary health and well-being first, because our human health and well-being is only secured if we take care of the health and well-being of our planet first. Let us walk this path together in this deeper reflection. Let us truly listen now. Let us really honor all of those who lost their life and gave their life in this crisis, by making sure that when limitations and restrictions on our daily activities are lifted again, that we are not going to go back to business as usual, but that we put our energy, our collaboration, and our resources together for a civilizational transformation to bring forth and build a world that works for all and where all of us can thrive together.
Thank you, Annelies. I think we are getting ready to receive our first guests. And we're going to have a talk with David Kam. Hope he can join us soon. And David is one of the initiators and organizers of LiveHOPE and also of the COP26. And let's see if David is ready to come in. We're going to have a chat about why it's so important. He's coming on in a few seconds. Why it's so important to have a conference of the movements and talk about all these topics together to see where it can bring us. And I think that David might have changed his shirt, but that's all for the better, probably. Yeah. Okay. So we hope you enjoyed so far all the video clips and the musical breaks. It's really not very hard to find interesting documentation to share with you about solutions, positive change. There are maybe 500,000 active groups worldwide, and they're all working and co-creating together towards the same thing, basically. Every project is unique, every person is unique. And that's all fine, as we have shown within the 3 pillars of activism. That it's really great to have this diversity. It's necessary even. And we want to escape dogma. We want to stop running around in circles, reinventing the wheel over and over again, right? We have been doing it for thousands of years. So now it's a great time, really, to bring it all together and come up with solutions. And I see that David Kam is ready to join us in the conversation. Hello, David. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to see you, Robert. And really, really fantastic that, sharing all the things that is necessary to complete the transition to the new world. And you've been working on this for very long and connected many organizations, gathered many solutions. Now it's just the implementation, right, Robert?
Yes, I think that a lot of things are ready. We have all the solutions already. We have all the people working on it. They are the critical mass, so to speak. That's the theme of today's conference. And it's up to us now to sort out how we can organize best. And we all need each other in the process. So, of course, we all have our differences, like mentioned, and we have to deal with our shadows too. And let's be realistic, we are also dealing with egos. But I think the time has come to put that aside and just step forward and say, hey, let's do this together, right?
I'm growing as well. Just during this conference, originally, there's a lot of fear, because of the past traumas that happened, of people saying that, trying to, if they sometimes sabotage us or saying bad things about us, don't work with them. But I think I've grown a little bit. Is that, I said, yeah, that's because they just misunderstand us. And we still accept them and invite them back in. And if at least we send an invitation and to put an olive branch to bring them back in. So I am growing in that sense, because if we're going to shift of the change makers are fighting among ourselves, and how can we even make change? Because a lot of organizations are promoting peace, but they're fighting among themselves, either fighting outside organizations or internally. How can we even achieve that? Because within our own new paradigm movements, we're not coherent, right?
Yeah. And I think because of the situation with COVID and Corona, of course, things have been accelerating and speeded up. So we can see a lot of movements and groups that are more open to connect and collaborate with each other, which is great. And I don't know how it exactly works. Well, maybe we do have a good sense of it, right? When something is threatening us, then we sort of come together and try to find a solution to the problem together. And this is what's happening now. So what were the changes, if I might ask, David, for the last year for you personally, if you want to share a bit, and you want to tell a little bit more about the conference, maybe?
The Conference of the Movements is, we originally, when we looked at the different platforms, we said there's no neutral platform that we can, a lot of people try to promote a brand. A brand becomes like, people become quite possessive of a brand. So we decided that since COP26, which is the United Nations Conference of the Parties, was canceled or postponed this year, and postponed one whole year, we thought that why not bring back the Conference of Movements that you were a founder of, that you had in Paris. So it was a COP21, right? That was the Conference of Movements that you had, and now it's the COP26. So it is quite a few years we haven't done it. So I thought that why not bring it back? Because that was a great idea, to bring all the social movements and indigenous nations from around the world to work, collaborate and work together. And I think that's what's missing in the world. Everybody's working in silos in their own projects. And I thought that we need a bigger vision. And originally we had that bigger vision and United Earth. And because we did not set rules when you enter the space, those rules, because since there's no rules, people don't know how to be guided along their journey. And then it creates a lot of conflict. So we decided that to learn from our mistakes and my mistakes and everybody else's mistakes, and try to create something more neutral and not be guided by ego, and also not be guided by brands. So we promote all the brands that are solutionaries, but the main thing is that we set rules. You know, if you're going to come into com26v.com, you have to leave your ego, hatred, violence, divisiveness, and all those negative things behind before you enter our space. So it has to be, they have to clear their shadows before they come in. Some, of course, not everybody will clear the shadows before they join us, but this is, at least we set the rules, you know, before they enter. So there's a minimal amount of disruption, and it's working, you know. So far, everybody that has entered the space know the rules and have been engaged to collaborate and work with one another. And the coronavirus has helped that also, because everybody is struggling. I mean, every single person is struggling, except perhaps the billionaires that they made the first 3 months of the coronavirus. They made $500 billion. They're not suffering, but everybody else is. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I think that's one of the transition tactics that we talked about, right? And we can also see it with Black Lives Matter, where the movement demands defunding of the police. And that's to secure that funding will go to these sectors, these people that really need funding. And that's just an example. And I think it's healthy to engage the few percent. How many are there? Maybe 1 or 2% of the rich people that now own half of all, half of the wealth of the whole planet. So that's really out of balance. So I think rebalancing that is very healthy and important for sure. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of wealthy people are willing and able to help, but they're still looking probably for ways. Where do they go? How can they support us or other groups? So, and that's why it's very important to keep on organizing these conferences and to have these meetings.
There's
David,
also a lot of... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go. No, it's okay. You want to reply?
Yeah, as a funding portion, there's a lot of... I don't know if you know, the SDG, the United Nations SDG fund, has hundreds of millions of dollars in their bank account, and they have not used it because they're a fear. They said if we give it to them, there's no way to track where the money goes or stuff like that. So the money is just sitting in the account doing nothing because of the fear factor, and they have accumulated that, and it keeps on growing, and they're not using it. So it's, I think, the same situation with the wealthy people. There's a lot of wealthy people who want to help, but they just don't know how. And there's a fear that if the money being misused, so there's no accountability or tracking system to be transparent. That's what the SDG fund said, that we don't have any way to track the impact of the what we're funding, you know.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a point, but I also think that we already have the solution for that. We have blockchain technology, right, which makes everything transparent. So you can apply that to make sort of the money flows visible. And I'm sure there are other ways also to make this work better. So something else, David, you want to share? Because I think we also are planning a talk with Gail Davis Carter, but I'm not sure if we're going to do it here on Zoom or through another platform. But
yeah,
maybe Gail, you can let us know. Yeah.
Is Gail here now, or I'm not sure if we can invite her in. Just invite her in, yes, because Gail Davis is an important partner of ours. And of course, the World Summit is also an important partner. And just to be aware that we honor honor Robert, who has stuck with us from the very beginning, because you've been working with us for several years now, and you didn't give up on us, and we're still here, you know.
Yeah, thanks, David. Well, if we cannot do it, how can we expect the world to change, right? So we have to keep faith in each other and hope. And sometimes the challenges can be very great, but I ask everyone to keep an open mind and not to look back too much. Let's look towards the future and see what we can achieve together. Gail, are you already joining, or? Okay, we will take a short break after our talk, and then Gail will come in through another link. So I think that's the best thing to do. Thank you very much, David. Is something else you feel like sharing?
Yes, I just wanted to share them. I watched a video about John Liu, and I think it's an important message to understand that why we're actually fighting each other is actually the scarcity. That means the scarcity, that means there's not enough, right? The model where 99% of the people do not have enough money or financial resources to thrive. The issue that makes individuals fight with each other, NGOs fight each other for the small bone they have, you know, and that creates the scarcity mentality. So we have seen it happen where that's why there's people who work in silos and very little cooperation with each other, because they think that if they don't grab the money, some other organization will. If I help you, I cannot, it'll be less for me. So that's the mentality that I think we have to overcome, because that is extremely strong motivation for people. That's why people steal ideas, try to sabotage each other and not work with each other, is because of the scarcity. I think that is, we have to be aware of, you know, it's not, so if a person doesn't have money, that doesn't mean we don't work with them. It's just that, you know, we should be supporting them versus trying to just say exclude them, you know, the poor people who want to help, or I mean poor or people who doesn't have enough financial resources, you know. I don't know your opinion on that before we go.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And John Dennis Liu had some great things to share about that, for sure. And what can I say, David? He is right, and I think it's for us. It's up to us now to get us to the next phase. And I want to thank you for joining our talk. It was great to have you on the program. And I think we're going to take a little break now, because we're going to chime in later with Gail Davis Carter on StreamYard. So that's another channel. So thanks a lot, David.